darkness. The sin of Cain has spawned the cursed horror that stalks the night in search of living blood. The kindred have long been a secret influence through all ages of human history, plotting against each other in a never-ending jihad. Their immortal progeny are among us to this day, hidden from the eyes of humanity by an elaborate masquerade.
Hello everyone, and thanks again for tuning into the next series. Just finished up the level 3 randomizer and was kind of debating about what I wanted to do next for a series. Asked for some suggestions and I got a couple that I definitely will be looking forward to doing in the future, but since it is, October and Halloween, I, kind of wanted to do this game at some point, but figure maybe now, since it's kind of a spooky time of year, maybe this would be good. So, little introduction. Before there was Swansong, before Bloodlines, there was Redemption. And for anyone that doesn't know what this game is, it's early 2000s vampire game. Hopefully it looks okay. For some reason, I get lines every once in a while. I'm going to start a new game. There'll be a little backstory. Got back to it at the end.
My name is Christof. I am a man of God and a soldier in heaven's cause.
Nay, my lord. Sister Aneska.
Where am I?
In Prague, at the convent of the Knights of the Red Cross. Now hush. Thou hast suffered a grievous wound and must rest.
I must return to my...
My lord, peace, I beg thee. Thy brave captain left a letter before thy sword brethren continued on their crusade.
I thank thee for this news, my lady, and for thy care. Surely thou hast drawn me back from the jaws of death itself.
'Twas the Lord that saw fit to spare thy life. We humble sisters simply attended thee.
Oh, Sister Aneska is too modest. She ministered to thy shattered body day and night, long after all others had given up hope. She did indeed restore thy life. I am Archbishop Giza. Thou hast done great service for Christendom, young sir. Tonight I shall make prayers of thanksgiving that thou live, and may send more sinners to hell.
I offer thee all my gratitude for thy service. I am in thy debt.
The rosy life in thy cheek is payment enough.
Okay, I think this is where we come in. It's been a while since I played this game. Hopefully I can remember enough about it. Definitely remember one thing about this game, which was confusing to me playing it as a kid, is if you watch the Redguard series, I talk about how you never use the mouse, you only use the keyboard to play. When this is just the mouse. Easy enough.
Christof, thy wound.
Nay, 'tis nothing. A scratch.
That's the end of the game. So thanks for watching. Yeah.
The mighty walls of Prague once held all demons at bay, but the Schlachta have overtaken a silver mine to the east. With a haven so close to the city, they boldly walk the streets by night to kill, and worse than kill. Many have been dragged alive from their homes for some unspeakable purpose.
I will never let them take thee.
Oh, sir.
Oh yeah, I forgot there were dialogue options. Tomorrow, I shall venture to the silver mine, or yeah, I'll go in a month or two.
I'm in poor health.
I mean, we just
I will kill them
collapsed.
all.
We need some time to rest.
Perhaps in a month or two, I shall go to the mines.
Nay, my lord. Perhaps a year or more, or...
Come away, Ineska. Thou hast wasted enough of good Sir Christof's time with thy idle chatter. Christof, this raid upon the convent must not go unpunished. On the morrow, I charge thee to descend into the accursed silver mine and send all within to hell.
I submit to thy worship in all things. Tomorrow I go.
Yeah, I knew that he was going to force us to go no matter what. I just like to point out the fact that we did almost just die. So yeah, I'm just going to briefly explain the game a little bit. Like I said, it's all mouse driven. The only thing I can really think that you do is, bring up the menu with escape. But it is, I'm pretty sure, adapted from a tabletop RPG, so it does have like all the stats and whatnot. I think I've read about it once I got older, and I don't think it really matters much. I think the only thing that these supposedly do is like, these few things help you while you're fighting, but all this is kind of dependent on your magic, which, spoiler, we're a human right now, but we do become a vampire and we do get blood magic. Oh, here's the pain. Yeah, so you can see we have nothing here. Here's our inventory, which I actually think is pretty cool. I think that's the first time I saw this, where it's like, individual things take up physical space. So you can see that this takes up 6 tiles. Something I do like to point out, just because I always thought this was funny as a kid, or I guess kind of interesting. But we can save at any point we want, right? Like we hit escape, hit save. But I remember noticing that there's this little cross symbol, and I never understood what the point of that would be. And apparently there was an even earlier version of this game where it didn't have the save anywhere you want function. It was, you can only save at certain points.
The daylight world belies the horrors that prowl by night. How can the good people of Prague go about their business with such evil abroad in the land?
I did turn on the subtitles just because, hopefully it, in case some of the dialogue is... Oh, okay. Some of the dialogue is hard to understand, with their thick Old English accents. I believe... I don't think that's the way we want to go. I mean, this isn't a huge map, so it's kind of hard to get lost in it. I believe... Yeah, there's a tavern here that the innkeep gives us a health potion.
Welcome. They do say you seek to cleanse the minds of evil. Oh, these demons have brought great suffering to the good people of Prague. Our craftsmen have no silver for their wares, and many proud families now beg for their bread. Please, accept all that my humble inn can provide, and the blessings of the Lord be upon your quest.
Easy potion. I don't really know how long of a game this will be. I don't think it's a terribly long game, but like I said, it has been a while, so hopefully this isn't too long of a series. I don't think it's necessarily that difficult of a game. There are a couple of hard points, which kind of, I think, is bonkers.
Where the mines, Crusader? If mere men could kill the Hellspawn, we Knights of St. John would have slain them long ago.
We lock these gates as the last rays of the sun die in the mountains. Pass within before dark, or wait without until dawn. I pray for thy safe return.
Okay.
These carts still hold their ore. The diggers have fled this place in haste, and the fiends have not seen fit to continue such honest labor.
There's a lot more dialogue in here than I remember. I know there's a good bit of voice acting, which I think is actually kind of surprising for the time of this game. Oh man, that's pretty dark. I turned the brightness all the way up, so hopefully you guys can see. I might change some stuff during editing. It seems like it's going to be too dark.
Odor of freshly mined earth is laden with the foul stench of death.
So I'm pretty sure, maybe I should address this. Yeah, so this is our quest log. I don't believe that there's any side quests in here. I believe this is just to remind you of where you're supposed to be going. That was probably fine. It's perfectly normal to be scared in a dark mine shaft.
Here. This poor soul died without a wound, save a bit of blood at the throat.
These guys aren't too bad. They kind of remind me of the little grunts from Halo. Just small little creatures to get introduced to combat. So yeah, if it's not obvious what I'm doing, you know, my little cursor here, I click and he has some pathfinding that allows him to, you know, go to where we're going. And it's actually pretty good for the time. So you see, he kind of like almost wandered to the wall and realized he couldn't go down. I mean, there are points though where it won't allow you to go down if you're trying to figure out a way down. And it's not terrible. There is a point much later in the game where you're a vampire and you are trying to walk during the daylight, and it can be kind of difficult navigating the beams of sunlight. So luckily that's not a major part of the game. It's only like one distinct part. Okay. And this, I think this is the basic layout of the game. Somebody tells you to go do something, you kind of go into these dungeons. I don't know if dungeons would be a good term. And kind of do exploration. I mean, they're very linear spaces, so they're not that difficult.
Wild dogs? Nay, rats!
Of course, classic RPG. Early enemies have to be giant rats. Oh, we need some healing. So something right there. No. Might be a further way down. You do want to come over here and get this stuff. I hear him walking around. Don't see him here there. Also, if it's not obvious how their health gauge works, you see their name turning from white to red, and all the various shades of pink in between. That's the indicator of how much damage you're doing. Okay, maybe I should explore this a little bit. I can't believe as soon as I said that there's not really much branching pathways, I find a branch. Mostly that means that there's like dead ends and whatnot. Also, I don't know what this is called, but this is like, you know, the update of like what's currently happening in game. I guess that kind of is reminiscent of this era too, where you might want a detailed playback of what happened. Also, I forget what these are. I think it's in here. Health, mana, faith, and humanity. So health is obvious. Mana, I don't think is affected until we're a vampire. Faith, I don't think has any function I don't know what that is. Humanity comes to play later when we're a vampire. Yeah, I think the faith is kind of a way to maybe make you believe that you're going to be a human a little bit longer, because you can increase your faith points. I'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to that point. I need to go see what's over here. Is that just an endless supply of rats right there? Could we potentially just, like, farm rats and become super buff before our time? Okay. Well, I'm glad I came up here. I feel like that's usually how it goes, though. I don't think that there's, like, multiple ways to do a dungeon. It's more of just, you know, there's a branch and it leads to a dead end. I guess a maze would be more fitting than an actual dungeon. Let's do another healing. So to heal, all I do is, like, right-click over to use something. So, like, we have this letter that Ineska said that our commander gave to us.
My good kinsman Christof.
Wow, that's extremely long. Okay. We won't be listening to that. That might add like 5 minutes to the whole gameplay if we sat here and listened to it. I am kind of impressed, though, about how much voice acting there is. Like I said, this is an early 2000s game, so... You know, it's right around that time where I feel like things are really starting to be pushing. Yeah, combat's a little simplistic. So, I know it's probably boring watching me just, you know, hastily swing at all these enemies, but as far as I know, there's no, like, tactical, or not tactical, but, like, you know, besides me just clicking on the enemy, I literally can't do anything else. As a vampire, I give myself buffs, but we're kind of limited in our human form. Okay, there's a chest up there. I won't do it because it is kind of cheaty, but I discovered as a kid that the chest inventory is random. So you can save right beforehand, which actually, you know what I should do? I should probably save this. Just use up number 1. Yeah. So, like, typically what you could do, like I said, I won't do it. Oh, some leather gloves. Well, that kind of sucks. So here we go. Let's load up our game. Re-click it. Oh, and this time we got a fine rapier. Which actually might be a little bad that we got that, because that does... That's exactly what I was talking about, where it's a little cheaty. I remember doing that like a crap ton as a kid, but, you know, in the interest of time and fairness, I won't do it. If you notice that we have, you know, Christof's fine face here, and as we take damage, he does kind of get more beat up, kind of like, I think Wolfenstein was the first time I saw it. But if you notice, there's a lot of blank space around him. And if you're wondering as to why that is, it's because we eventually get friends along the way. There's actually a good minute of different allies that we get throughout this game, which is actually pretty neat that we can, you know, trade off characters and whatnot. Don't think you ever get to choose. I think it's always like story driven where you're at that determines who's in your party. Oh, yeah. Typically, the dungeons are split up into several sections, I guess, you know, to make it a little bit easier on the hardware back in the day. I see a shield. That'll be handy for us.
I reclaim this treasure from the clutches of evil and reconsecrate it to a godly purpose.
I'll show it off in a second. But there is something I kind of really think is cool about this game. Ooh, took a chunk out of us. I think we're kind of spoiled in the modern era of gaming, but notice once I put the shield on, he equips it. I don't know if the swords are different. Oh, the swords are different. Okay, that's really cool to me. And put the dagger. It's a different dagger. It kind of, like I said, kind of spoiled in this era of gaming. Yes, that was a rat I just picked up. Just quickly show it off. Yeah. So one of these bars, I mean, it'll become obvious when we're a vampire, will become blood. And one of the things we have to monitor this game is our blood level. You know, balance like using blood magic and how much blood. Kind of like, I don't know if anyone's played V Rising. Kind of, I think that's the only other game I can really think of that has like a blood quality, or even just like monitoring blood. Cause yeah, I think before this was like my first introduction in like a lore heavy vampire. Cause like before this, like vampires were pale older guys in, you know, cloaks that had an aversion to garlic and silver. You know, classic Dracula era. So this was like the first time I was introduced to like the deeper mythology of like them existing alongside humans and whatnot. I mean, that's literally the title of the game, you know, Vampire the Masquerade. I'm pretty sure the Masquerade is like the, you know, them coexisting alongside humans while also like keeping to the shadows to not be exposed. I think that's more apparent in Bloodlines, because you can break code of the Masquerade if you endanger exposure. Hopefully, I'm really hoping someone out there knows anything about these games and this isn't totally lost on a bunch of people. I have played Bloodlines, and I don't think it has anything to do with this. Like, I don't think they share anything other than like obvious background lore. But yeah, I don't. As far as I know, there's no mention of Christof and others. Is that a shortcut? Huh, okay, that's interesting. Oh, maybe that's like, hey, if you need to go back up, here's kind of a way out. Which we don't need to do that. We're fine. But I have not played Swansong yet, and I do believe that there is a Bloodlines 2 supposed to come out at some point. But this will be the one I have the fondest for. Just because it, you know, of course you always have kind of a certain fondness for video games you played as a kid. That's another one of these big boys. Oh, well, that's almost too perfect. If you notice that I have like kind of like a buff or a debuff on screen. We are now diseased, which I think, what does that affect? Does that affect anything for us? So I believe the blue numbers are ones that I think is our like current, but these are our actual. So we don't have anything right now, but you can wear bracelets that increase your appearance, and so it's like you have your base appearance level and your you know, you're affected. Oh, I almost forgot, we're diseased. Yeah, so we have a disease vaccine. Don't know what that looks like in this era of the world. Oh my god, we have like 1 million bottles. Well, you know what? We don't want something that's called a rusty. It's not as bad, obviously, as like games like Skyrim and Elder Scrolls, but there is some kind of hoarding involved because you can sell stuff. I do think there are some like minor puzzles, which isn't really a puzzle, I guess, as there's this river we can't cross, but there's this tiny lever we can pull to change the environment. And if you notice that son of a gun back there, actually, and this might be a good time to save it again. Wow, I gotta click like 4 different things to save it. Hopefully it can, see, light up if I hover over him. Yeah, that guy, look at that thing. Like I said, I'm gonna try to lighten it up. Hopefully you guys can see what's going on. It's very dark for me too, but I am playing this in the daylight, so that might be a huge factor. Okay, seems like we're doing some decent damage on him. Okay. It might have been super subtle, but if you notice that his name got a little less red, and you heard like a sound effect, you can heal yourself as a vampire, and that means that enemies can too. So yeah, that's always a fun thing to deal with. Nothing. Okay, so that wasn't that bad. Like I said, I don't think this is necessarily a hard game. It's just more of, there's points where you can get a little overwhelmed by how many enemies are on screen. Also, I will show it off. I typically don't use ranged weapons because they're kind of a pain having to juggle with you know, the ammo. But I don't know if anyone's noticed, I've been picking up these things called holy water, which has like a whole thing to it. Oh, I might not even be able to. Okay, well, just do some quick inventory management here. And yeah. Okay, yeah, so he literally throws one, and then instead of for some reason auto-loading the next one, I guess that probably makes more sense if you have multiple characters, so you can have someone throw one in. Yeah, so that's why I don't like using ranged weapons, especially for like arrows and stuff. Oh my god, I forgot about this. This is also another thing that I think, this is probably like one of the most hated things about this game, is the fact that once certain enemies get to a certain health point, they'll flee. And I guess because you have a certain range that you can hit stuff at, and I don't know if it's obvious, but we can't like attack and run. It's like we either move or we're attacking. And so I'm guessing what happens is that when he stops to attack, that little bit of time is enough for okay, well that's the end right there. Yeah, so for that little bit of time that he's attacking, the thing will have moved far enough away to where you can't hit it. And so, I mean, rats aren't too bad because they'll, you know, they only take a couple hits to kill them. But man, there's a certain points where you're fighting like, I can't remember what type of vampire it is, but they are so quick to flee, and they'll like flee and go heal up and then come back, and they're just like the most annoying things. Wait, did we have room for that? Did have room for that. Okay, but we probably won't have enough room for those stakes. But that's just fine. We don't need all that. So if I tell Christof to come down here, I think the pathfinding AI is actually pretty good. I mean, they're probably pretty simple layouts, you know, for them to find it, but I think they actually do a pretty good job of it being self-sufficient. You don't need to, like, baby them too much. Oh, cool. we get diseased right before the end here. Yeah, so now we have 2 fleeing rats, which I'm not gonna worry about. Anything over here? No. Okay. So yeah, this will descend us into the very end. So I will save it. It's not very difficult. You know, I don't want to do this over and over again. Too much. Okay. Is there anything to be found over here? Doesn't look like it. It's a little bit further down than I remember. I thought you just came across their little platform. Yes, here we go. Pretty sure there's an exchange right before the fight.
Blasphemy! Let the builders of this mockery of a holy cathedral show their wicked faces. Out, blaspheming wretch! Taste the steel of righteousness!
I am Alzra the Unliving, and I bid thee welcome to my domain. Although I have found thee an inhospitable and ungrateful guest.
God strike thee down, she-devil! Accursed creature! Earth has no room for such as thee!
Nay, verily all the earth is all dominion. With every passing day our numbers swell. We shatter all defenses and corrupt all holy places. The Tzimisce shall rule all of Prague, and everyone, mortal and Canaanite alike, will tremble at our coming.
Hellspawn, the purity of the holy places protects them from thy evil.
Purity can be sullied, and holiness can be defiled. The Methuselah of Visceral shall awaken soon. Ye shall defile all that is pure, and leave corruption in his wake. In defilement lies his strength. Purity is sweet meat to him, as thy rich blood is sweet wine to me.
Die, thou damned beast. God hath spat thee out of heaven in ancient times, and now I scourge thee from the earth. Die, and burn far from the sight of God.
Totally forgot about the end of this, because they mentioned the Methuselah. That's the major plot of this game, which I just remembered I've never actually beaten without cheating, because this was definitely in the era where, you know, games were starting to like have like dedicated cheat codes, and definitely cheated to beat it, because I remember it being extremely difficult. So we'll see when we get there how bad it is. Okay, I feel like we're kind of neck and neck, and okay, well, they're healing a lot. We're using up a lot of our health potions. Okay, come on, Christof. Don't let us down. Like I said, there's not much I can do other than just click on the figure. Wow, they're healing a good bit. Like, I feel like... Do they have some kind of, like, limit of how many times they can heal? If not, we're going to be at this for a while. Heal again. Oh, wrong button. Oh, and we're out of healing ointments. Come on. Thank God. Okay. I don't know why that was so difficult.
No last rites. The sweet redemption of our Lord is forbidden to the likes of thee. Thou hast no home now but the eternal torments of hell.
And that's it. So I think there's at certain points in the game where this will pop up. And this is kind of like, oh, you completed your quest. Now do some leveling up. So, like I said, I think this is more affected of disciplines, which we'll do that later. I don't remember what these do. Like, I don't know if like charisma and manipulation, or sorry, charisma and appearance affect like ices or something. I feel like that's a pretty standard RPG thing. But Christof is a fighter, so I do think we want to increase these guys, which I do think that most of these are just like checks. Like, I think there's certain weapons where you have to have certain strength to wield. Like, I don't know if they affect damage after all. So yeah, see, this is what I was kind of talking about earlier, where we can increase our faith, but that bar goes away once we become a vampire. So I don't know if there's like any reason to change that. Let's just do intelligence. I think we'll need some for casting things later. But yeah, I think that's a nice, clean start to the series. A little bit longer than I would hope for, but it might have been kind of weird to stop right before. But yeah, that's where I'm going to stop it and pick it up next time. So I thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the series. Might be kind of a weird game to pick, but I think that's kind of what I like to play anyway. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.